Most likely in your life, you've met someone whose presence lights up the room, like they make everyone around them feel happier and more excited. This person makes people feel amazed and respectful just by being there. Their authority is clear, and they give off both strength and warmth that no one can ignore. Whatever they say, people believe them. Their jokes are the funniest, and the way they act is something everyone wants to copy. This person creates a feeling of trust and makes everyone around them feel good. They are a natural leader, and people want to follow them no matter what. The other gender is drawn to them. Without a doubt, this person has charisma, a special quality that everyone notices. But is this a gift from above or a very difficult skill that can be learned and developed? What could be the definition of such superhuman? And most importantly, how to become one? It all started as usual back in ancient times when people believed that charisma was a quality reserved for powerful leaders, typically military generals who charismatically took down their enemies. Fast forward to today, and the word charisma is tossed around to describe anyone with a strong presence online. It's used for those TikTokers who perform silly dances in their kitchens, somehow gaining millions of views. Charisma has definitely evolved, but hey, it still has power. These are the types of people who can take charge of their group of friends, make decisions, and show everyone the way things should go. I'm sure everyone's been in a situation where there's a problem in the group and no one really knows how to fix it, or they're too shy to take the lead. Well, charisma in these moments steps up and shows the way for the group. This is more like being a leader, but a leader without charisma isn't really a leader. So for me, the qualities of these two types are pretty similar. In the end, I believe charismatic people are the ones who are confident, a little bold, and mentally strong. They're the kind of people who stand up for their beliefs and boundaries, not just by talking, but also by being ready to act if things get tough. Even though charisma is most noticeable in a group with a lot of people, charismatic individuals also have some qualities that make them approachable in one-on-one conversations. They're great conversationalists, but not because they're super smart or anything. It's because they know how to listen. And here's the thing, a pleasant conversationalist isn't the one who talks the most, it's the one who lets the other person talk. Most people, when talking, are just waiting for their turn to speak, without truly listening to what the other person is saying. Charismatic people, however, tend to listen to the entire conversation with real enthusiasm, not necessarily because they find it fascinating, but because being engaged in the other person's words makes them feel good, even more than a $100 bill, though that's still a bit debatable, of course. But we're not talking about total disinterest, just focusing and really paying attention to what's being said. Why is this so important? I'm sure you've had moments where you're talking to someone and that person is completely zoned out, thinking about random stuff like memes, anime, or their own problems. Meanwhile, you're all hyped up, talking about something like the latest gossip or the daily grind, and you're just thinking to yourself, come on, at least pretend you're interested. People can sense fake attention and lack of interest really easily. That's why, if you're not engaged, you're pretty much killing your own charisma. So let's focus, folks. And the more someone talks, the easier it is to figure out what kind of person they are and how to get on their level. Gaining people's trust and making them feel comfortable around you, that's the foundation of charisma. There are a ton of ways to do it, from simple compliments and humor to more subtle psychological tricks. But most of the time, it's about being confident and knowing how to speak with purpose. Now, let's wrap up the everyday version of charisma. All of this works, and you can be called charismatic by the majority of people out there. But I'll throw in a quick note. Truly charismatic people aren't the ones who constantly overthink and question everything about right and wrong. People want clarity, truth, and direct action. They want a path leading towards some sort of order in the chaotic mess we call life. That's what charismatic people give them. Clear, confident actions, intentions, and statements. So, to become charismatic, you've got to be sure of yourself, not just psychologically, but ideologically as well. It's like a fist of strong, decisive beliefs that punch through the confusion and uncertainty in the world. People tend to like those who have a positive outlook on life and themselves more than those who are constantly gloomy and stuck in their own heads. Well, unless we're talking about some overly dramatic teenager on TikTok, then maybe it's a different story. From everything I've described, you might think I believe only extroverts can be charismatic. But of course, that's not true. Introverts can absolutely have charisma too. They just express it differently. More concise, less theatrical, but still just as powerful. And now the funniest part, charisma is not some universal cheat code. It doesn't always work, and it definitely doesn't work on everyone. Social context matters a lot. Sure, you can use certain social tricks to leave a good impression, but sometimes that's just not enough. For example, one charismatic person might be a superstar in a group of guys by talking about discipline, taking risks, and hitting the gym. Another might thrive in a group of women, sharing thoughts on love, relationships, and how to truly appreciate your partner. But switch them around, and their impact suddenly drops. See, charisma isn't just about what you say. It's about tapping into what people already want to hear and feel. And those wants and feelings vary from person to person. The key isn't in specific beliefs or opinions, but in the way you present yourself. And here's the real kicker. To be charismatic, you don't actually have to be charismatic. You just have to make people perceive you that way. So, if your goal is to become more charismatic, maybe the question isn't how do I change myself, but rather how do I change the way people see me. Here's something interesting. Charisma Charisma, status, success, and money all go hand in hand. Like I said before, what matters isn't who you really are, but how others perceive you. Simple example, you meet someone new and say, "Hi, I'm Mike. I like to cook." Cool, nothing special. But now imagine you introduce yourself like this. "Hey, I'm Michael, a restaurateur managing 5 top-tier restaurants." Suddenly, you're a lot more interesting. Most people are naturally drawn to someone who runs 5 restaurants rather than someone who just cooks at home for fun. That's because charisma is often tied to status and financial success. Now, quick disclaimer, this doesn't mean you have to be rich to be charismatic. It just means you should learn how to present what you do in a way that sounds valuable. Let's say you're working as a warehouse loader. That doesn't sound too flashy, right? But instead of saying, "Yeah, I move boxes all day," you could say, "I specialize in logistics and inventory operations." Boom, instant upgrade.
This is Elon Musk.
Or maybe you spend a lot of time daydreaming and overthinking. Congrats! You're not just zoning out, you're a deep-thinking, pre-revolutionary philosopher on the brink of your next big idea. Presentation matters, my friends. Think about it. You could say that charisma is a mix of different skills and factors. First, there's you and your frame. This includes your physical and mental state, your social skills, humor, and so on. Second, it's your financial situation. The more money you have, the more impressive you become. Third, influence. The number of connections you have and your position of power matter. Lastly, it's media presence. Media presence and influence already create a strong first impression for you. Because of that, it's easier to work with this format. Your background has already done the heavy lifting when it comes to first impressions. However, even everything mentioned above doesn't always work, and charisma might not come through. For example, if someone like Kanye West walked into a group of monks and said, "You know why nobody cares," they wouldn't be impressed. But if he walked into a club with younger people, they'd probably go crazy. Of course, factors like money, influence, status, and media presence won't guarantee success in every situation, but you can change how you're perceived in everyday interactions. Your frame, your aura, these are first and foremost skills and techniques that can be trained and developed. If you watch the early speeches of famous speakers, they often look quite ordinary. But over the years, when you compare their earlier performances with their later ones, you can see how they've improved and honed their charisma. A great example is Steve Jobs, who, over time, perfected his confident, smooth speech. And that's the thing about charisma. It's not just something you're born with. It's a skill, a set of habits that you build over time. People who seem effortlessly magnetic usually weren't like that from the start. They learned how to carry themselves, how to speak in a way that grabs attention, how to make others feel important. It's in the little things, how you hold eye contact, how you pause before speaking, how you use your voice to create impact. It's about knowing when to listen and when to lead. And the best part? Anyone can work on it. At the end of the day, charisma isn't about being the loudest person in the room or forcing yourself to be someone you're not. It's about understanding people, making them feel heard, and having the confidence to express yourself in a way that resonates. So if you think charisma is some mystical gift, think again. It's all about practice, awareness, and a little bit of guts. Alright, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found it interesting. And of course, subscribe to stay tuned for more awesome content. Drop a comment, let me know what you think, and share it with anyone who could use a little charisma boost. Catch you in the next one. Stay awesome.